This is for my dogs. This is for the homies I got watching up above. This is for the time I feel out of love. This is for the single mamas making it enough. This is for you. This is for the pain. Running through the fire in my everything. This is for you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is for you. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hi guys, welcome back to Incognito mode. And I have my glasses back on. Today's topic is a little heavier for me. It's very personal, and I honestly wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't think other people could relate to it. If I cry, I cry. It is what it is. But I'm gonna try not to, just because I'm trying to be professional, you know what I mean? I want to thank you guys for tuning back into incognito mode. I appreciate every like, every listen, or even share. This podcast in particular is about my mom, my dad, and myself, and kind of my relationship with them growing up and how they raised me, and just some things that we've been dealing with as of late. Like I said, this feels very personal. I normally try to stay away from putting my family's business out there, but I just recently had a talk with my mom that I'm really proud of myself for doing, because I've thought about this for like 2 months before even talking to her about it, and I finally just kind of had to let it out. So I wanted to start by sharing kind of my upbringing a little bit. I'm going to try to make this a shorter podcast. So if I speak a little faster, I'm sorry, but I hope you can keep up. I know sometimes I mumble, so I'm going to try to enunciate my words a little better. Um, but I did want to start by saying I absolutely love my parents. I adore them. I worship the ground they walk on. So this is not to make them look bad in any way, shape, or form. This is just kind of how I've been feeling as of late. I already want to cry, you. Um, but growing up, I was basically an only child. Yes, I have an older brother. I think he's like 35 now, but I wasn't raised with him. He lived in El Salvador most of my life. He came to the States for a little over a year and he got deported. So he's back in El Salvador. He's actually in prison in El Salvador, which is really fucking sad. Pray for my brother. I love you. And I have a little sister, which she's been on one of my episodes before. Super sweet. She's literally my twin. And she is just the biggest blessing that unexpected, but such a big blessing for our family. And I was an only child up until almost 18 years old. My sister was born maybe 2 weeks before my birthday, if that. Um, and so growing up, my parents did everything for me. Like my mom, she cooked every day, 2 to 3 meals a day. Um, and my dad worked every day, sometimes weekends, well, every weekday, but sometimes he would work weekends also. Um, we moved a lot growing up just because he was a painter. So, if you know, painting is a seasonal type of job. Not seasonal, but it's based off of the seasons. When it's rainy season, they're kind of out of a job. And so if you haven't saved or if you're not good at saving, you're just like, what the fuck do I do? Um, because a lot of their job consists of outside work. You can't paint houses if it's raining. It'll fuck them up. Um, and most of the time, my dad was the main one working. My mom would work like here and there, but she would work more for like fun stuff. My dad took care of all of the bills. So I'm just trying to paint a picture there. Um, but I can say I have amazing parents, even though I was the only child. I never felt alone. My parents always talked to me since I was very young. They were very involved with my life. My mom was my best friend. I would tell her everything. So if I didn't like you, my mom didn't like you. And if my mom didn't like you, I tried convincing her to like you, but eventually she was always right. But moms like always know. Like if they don't like this little girl later on, she'll probably won't be your friend. Um, and my dad was very understanding, just kind of let me talk to him about anything, and I never felt judged by him. My mom was more like, no te hagas mensa or no seas pendeja. And like it didn't feel weird because that's just how like my mom talks. She's not actually being mean. So things like that is what I was used to. Um, both of my parents are very giving, very kind, and um, very wise, both of them on different levels. They're very, very smart. I swear, I'm like, if my dad was able to get an education in this country, like we would be balling because he is that smart. He is so smart. And my mom, she's so hardworking. Like every time she's had a job, she works mainly factory jobs. She's always like picked up by the company. And she's just, but early riser, she went to work like around 5:30, but she would wake up early enough to shower and make food so that when I came home from school, there would be food already. Like I didn't have to worry about what I was going to eat or my dad when he got home. All I had to do was like clean the house if I wanted to go hang out with my friends. So I had a pretty chill upbringing. They both understood that since I didn't have siblings, I should be able to hang out with my friends. So a lot of the times, I got a cell phone in like fourth grade because they were both working and they wanted to know where I was at. After school, I'd either go to a friend's house or Boys and Girls Club, or I'd tell friends they could come over. I was never really alone, even though I was kind of alone. Um, and I was a very independent kid for the most part. I didn't need to call them for every minor inconvenience. I just kind of figured it out. And I even had friends where some of them only had like single parent households, and I would let my dad know, and he'd be like, "Oh, like here's extra money," because I would feel bad that I could buy stuff after school and like they couldn't. And so it was to the point where my dad would give me $20 every day so that I would go to when I would go to the store and get like my hot Cheetos and my Arizona. I could tell my friends like, hey, you can get some too. Um, and so that was really neat. You know, sometimes it would both leave me $20. So I'd have like $40 for the day. And I'd be like, hey, like we can get extra stuff today. Um, and we moved a lot. So I like even though we moved a lot, I never felt like I was missing out on anything or needed anything that like my friends maybe had. Um, and sometimes we lived in like garages. Sometimes we lived in studios, sometimes it was a one-bedroom apartment, sometimes two-bedroom apartments, sometimes three-bedroom apartments. But it was to the point where we were moving like every 2 years. So some people were like, well, you're so friendly, like that. And I was like, yeah, I kind of had to be. I was a new girl a lot. So I had to kind of turn into this chameleon where I got to fit in wherever I'm at. Um, so in that sense, I'm grateful because I've had jobs where currently right now I'm like the youngest person at my job, but I can relate to like the oldest person, middle-aged people, people closer to my age. I don't have a problem communicating or getting my point across. And I'm pretty confident when I'm speaking to someone. I know how to speak to them in a way where it's like, yeah, I'm professional. Even though I'm young, like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because my parents have been talking to me almost like an adult since I was like fifth grade, and they are very honest and blunt with me about things. My parents, in my mind, have done everything right, have raised me to be like my best version of myself. Um, they've worked their ass off to provide. I went to like every theme park every year, every birthday. I got to pick what I wanted to do and take a friend. Like, even though I lived in like weird places sometimes, my life was lit. Like, I was living. Um, so once I got psychosis, um, they were kind of shell shocked and didn't know what the heck to do. Because even if I did get in like trouble with school for ditching and stuff, I still had very good grades. So in their mind, it was like, okay, teenage angst, but like she's still doing better than like most kids. So when psychosis happened, they were just um, really not, they had no idea what to do. My mom was pregnant, and um, they kind of had to, my dad had to find a different job where he wanted to get away from the city. And so he did that. Um, but because I had gotten sick, my mom had to sell one of her, it was like her longtime car that she'd had since I was like in fifth grade. They had to sell it because they couldn't afford the bill for my Medi-Cal ran out. My Medi-Cal for the places that I was staying at ran out. So they had to pay a couple grand, and they just had to sell a car to do that. So that's something that I felt super guilty about. My dad was missing a lot of work because he was out looking for me because I was just all fucked up in the head. And so he almost got fired. My mom, I think, lost her job because she had to be looking around for me also. And they were like, you've been missing too much. Like, you either come back full time or we have to let you go. So they lost a lot because of my psychosis. So just I've always felt like guilty for that. Um, and so my dad's friend realized like they're going through some hard times, and my dad just wanted to get out of Fillmore. He just thought the city was bad for me, and he wanted to get out of there. He got a new job. I get better from psychosis, and I decide if there's only like 2 months left of high school, I'm gonna stay behind and live with someone else. My dad was like, okay, like you're better now. I'm gonna trust your judgment and your decision. You're almost 18, so you do what you have to do. And I'm pretty sure they felt bad that like I was gonna graduate with strangers. So they didn't want to do that. And they kind of wanted to keep like a low stress level because my psychosis can be activated by a lot of stress, not sleeping, and eating bad, which I've had insomnia since I was like freaking 8 or 7, like kindergarten. Um, so that's all kind of happened. And fast forward um, to me now as an adult, I guess, actually an adult, not just 18, 19, 20, figuring shit out. Like now I'm fucking 30, dude. Um, and my parents have done everything in their power to be successful. Now they have my little sister, and they're getting older. And there's just things that I guess maybe come with being like a Hispanic firstborn daughter. Um, this is like a personal take from me. I think there is so much that rides on being the firstborn, whether female or male, but the firstborn daughter, that shit hits different. Um, when your parents start to get older, it's like your responsibility. It's like ingrained in it's like ingrained in our culture that we kind of end up having to look out for them, especially if we're here. Because If you think about it, they risked their whole entire life to come here and make a life. And I was born here and I have all these opportunities because of the choices that they made. So my education, speaking another language, having the job opportunities that I do because I have an education, which is something they weren't able to attain due to just their circumstances and legal status at the time. It's just a lot of pressure um, in general. Now, for me, I was an only child for the longest time and I had everything I ever wanted. So that just feels like it's stacked on top of being the firstborn only child. And like I have a brother, but he's just not financially, will probably never contribute towards my father, towards my dad. He's only my brother on my dad's side. And then I have a little sister who, you know, she's so much younger than me that I can't really put too much pressure on her or depend on her now to help with anything my parents might need right now. Maybe in the future I will, but right now it just feels like I'm on her solo dolo. um, but I'm not. Luckily, like I have a very supportive husband. Thank God, because I would probably have ended up in a psych ward again by now. um, but I've been and we've helped each other. Like when I've had hard times, my dad has helped me. So I don't want to say like this is a one-sided thing. As of late, I've just felt a lot of pressures. Even before, like as soon as I had a job, they never made me pay rent. So I have to be grateful for that. But I would help out with things like the car insurance, cell phone, things like that when I was making like minimum wage. And they wouldn't charge me rent because I was still going to school while I was working part-time, things like that. Um, but when I was living on my own, like I had to pay for my phone bill, my car insurance, whatever rent I had. Um, and if I needed help, my dad would help me. So that's just kind of all in the same bubble of like, I always felt like I owed them for everything. It's just been a little more difficult lately because now I have my own life. I have a husband. We have rent. We have bills. We have car payment. Like all these things, phone bills, insurance, electricity, water, like just our own kind of life. Um, but when I met my husband, I made it clear like I am my parents' daughter and I will always kind of have to be there if they need me because that's just how I was raised. Um, and so, like, if my dad couldn't afford a certain bill, and if he calls me that he needs money, I don't even think about it. Like, here you go. Um, does it hurt me sometimes financially? Of course, I'm not made of money. Like, I have to work for my shit too. And so sometimes it's put a strain on me, but in my mind, I'm like, that's my dad. That's my responsibility. Like, if my mom can't help him, if she's not working and I see he's struggling, like, and I have it, yeah, so do you. But I think my mistake was never setting a boundary, and being too giving, um, to the point where my dad invested in some land in another state, and him and my mom went. And my mom was like, "Oh, why don't we get another plot of land? Because if we move, Noemi and Justin will want to move." Mind you, this was without like letting me know. So when they came back and said, "Hey, we got like this many plots of land, like three of them, plus your cousin bought one next to us, but it's under your dad's name." Like, what? You went for one and came back with three, plus you signed for my cousins? Excuse me? Like, excuse the fuck out of me? My dad was like, well, I only went for one, but it was such a good deal. And then your mom was like, well, let's get another one because if we move, we're gonna want Justin and Noemi to have somewhere to go too, like if we go out there. Man, I'm a California girl. Like this weather, I will pay for this weather. I'm not fucking going to Texas. Like, no offense to anyone that lives in Texas. I've gone to visit. It is beautiful. But my life is here. Um, so obviously I'm like, yeah, well, thanks for thinking of me, but I didn't sign for those papers, so I don't want anything to do with that. And that hurt my heart to even say that because I just knew that they did it in their best like judgment, thinking of me and not wanting to leave me behind. But it was like, that's a big decision to make for someone. And it's like, it's not just me anymore, it's like my husband too. So oh, my fingers are red because I was eating hot Cheetos. um, so that was like a hard moment for me because I was furious, but I had to act like I was like all gung ho a little bit because I didn't want my husband to be super furious with them either, which he wasn't. Like he was upset, but I had told him in the moment, like, I'm not paying for that. So he was like, okay, well, as long as we're both in agreement that we're not paying for that because we didn't sign for it. I'm like, yeah, like I agree. At the time, my mom was working full time and my dad was working like two jobs. So they could afford it. Mind you, they don't pay like rent where they live. So even though it's a lot of money, like to them it was like rent. Um, because they don't pay rent. Now fast forward a few months and my mom loses her job. And now it's like COVID hit. My dad gets COVID and he has a very weak immune system. And I'm like, you have to stop working your second job. It's like you have a weekend. It Cause my dad got COVID to the point where like we didn't know like if he would make it. And so I remember my mom calling me and it's like freaking like 12:30 in the morning. And she's like, hey, like I didn't want to worry you, but your dad has COVID. And like we went to TJ the other day and they gave him medicine and he was good for like a day and a half, but now it's worse. And so I'm like driving, crying my ass off, like 1 in the morning, just to like, because my mom made it seem like, like dire, which it was. I've never seen him like that. And so that just made me be like, fuck that. Like, you're not gonna get a second job and work yourself up until your immune system can't even keep up with whatever illnesses you might have or get. And it was COVID and he's totally okay now, thank God. Um, but at that moment, I was like, I will help you. Like that was like the turning point for me because I was like, why are you working two jobs? And he was like, I know I don't pay rent, but like the interest on this land was so high that I have to pay way more to actually make a dent in what we're paying for. And your mom got laid off and she hasn't been able to find work. So I needed to work overtime even at my second job. And I'm like, I'm telling you, my dad is the most hardworking man I have ever met. Him and my husband are like extremely hardworking. And I'm like, I talked to my husband and he just sees like how freaked out I am. And I'm like, and I'm just like, I know like we didn't sign for it and it's not there, but like right now, like, I need you to just support this decision that I just kind of have to make because, like, if anything were to happen to my family, I could, and I didn't do everything to help, like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself, you know? And so he agreed with it. He's not happy about it. Um, but he didn't even make it be known in that moment. I just knew, like, it's not ideal. We're going to be throwing a substantial amount of money to something we're probably never going to use. Um, and so since then, we've been helping them pay for a plot of land. Um, and then it got to the point where I was super stressed out, not even like with the bills, but I was in a job where like the environment just was not it. Um, I had these two ladies arguing back and forth all day next to me. They put me in the middle because I was the peacemaker, and it drove me like nuts. I would come home angry and like unleash it all on my husband, which was not fair. So one day he was like, if you need to quit, quit. Like, I'll take care of all of our finances. And I'm like, okay. So I quit. And then it got to the point where we're like, we're throwing our money away. We're not saving anything. Like, we're paying for this and rent. And we kind of came together and we're like, we need to start saving for a house. Um, and so we talked about it, him and I, and we're like, since we're helping my parents out, maybe they can help us out for a year so that we can get in a better position so we can live in our own house, save enough for a down payment and buy our own home and like fix our credit and shit because I just don't have the best credit. Um, and so my parents were like, yeah, like you can come sleep in our spare room and like move in and for a few months. And my dad was like, you don't even have to pay me rent. But we just didn't feel right. And we were paying rent. We asked if he could pay like a certain amount of rent at least to help him out. Because again, my mom wasn't working. And so fast forward like maybe like 3 months, it just didn't fucking work out. We have too many animals. We were just crowded in one room. So we're like, we got to get out of here. My fucking dog bit someone. Like, I didn't want my dad to get fired. So I'm like, yeah, we're moving back out. Didn't work out. We tried it. Hey, like God has his own plans. That was just not in the books for us right now. So now we're on our own. I didn't work for like a whole year. I went back to school and I got really good grades. It's fucking stats class, which that's for another day. um, and now we're back on our own again. Back to I actually really like this apartment that we moved to. It's more modern than the one we used to live at. So it's just like it worked out in our favor, like overall. It did. But now I got a job and not because like I had to, but it was just like I just felt horrible. My husband was gonna have to pay this amount of rent, pay the bills, like our insurance, our phone bill, and then on top of that, pay for this land. So I'm like, you don't have to go back to the other job that made you miserable, but you could get another job, bitch. Get your shit together. So I'm like, okay. Ew. So I'm like, okay, excuse me. I'm gonna get another job and then I am gonna pick up my own payment off the land. Now give it some time and I'm like, okay, my fucking car's broken now. What the fuck do I do? Um, and I call my dad and I'm like, hey, can I borrow one of your spare cars? Because they have like three cars. And he kind of gave me a little bit of attitude, like, why? And I'm like, because, bro, like, I have bills that I have to pay and this property. And right now, I just don't want to have a car payment. And I just want to save up to pay to fix my actual car. And it just rubbed me it just rubbed me the wrong way that it felt like I was burdening him, which I guess it is. Like, I should have had money saved. I just didn't because I wasn't working, and all the expenses are falling on my husband, which that's very personal, but whatever. And then I'm like getting paid, and the taxes for the property at the end of the year are like fucking $1,000 on top of the monthly payment. And so it's just like, damn, like I got a new job, but I can't catch a break. Now my dog's sick. Like I had to take them to the vet. Like our moving expenses were so much money we saved, we like spent on moving expenses. It was just a wild. Like it's been a wild time. Um, and and then it just got me thinking, like, I need to let them know that I cannot be financially responsible for things that they can't take care of. Not like this. If you need like a couple of $100 for an emergency, you got it. You don't even gotta pay me back. But it's like to add, because if I think about it, if I save all this money that I'm sending for this property, I can save enough to like have a down payment in a few, you know, like 1 to 2 years. Like, um, so it's just slowing our progress. Like I wanted to get another job to help save and like enough to get ourselves situated, or eventually like I want to have my own kids and like save for their college, and I want to have my own house before I have kids, and I want to like have money saved to where I don't have to worry about my credit cards and use credit cards. Like I just there's just things that I'm like, I have been putting you first before like certain things that should be first. Um, but I never wanted to say it because I just felt like I owed them. Like, I'm your firstborn, I'm a daughter, like, I have to take care of you guys any way I can. And I just owe you. Like, I had to pay my dues in my mind. Like, you took care of me in the most incredible way growing up. When I got sick, you lost a lot because of me. And I just felt like I owed it to them. Like I almost felt like I couldn't say no. Um, but then once I realized like I'm just not putting myself in the best position to put you in a better position, like it kind of had me messed up a little bit because I'm like, I remember when my grandmas would call every like month or so, being like, "Hey, can you send 100, 200, $300?" And sometimes my parents would be so stressed out, and they'd be like, "Hey, I can only send this amount." And then my grandmas would be like, "Okay, we'll make that work." But they have so many other kids they can ask, which is the difference. And it's like my parents, like they only have me, you know? Like if I can't help them, they don't have other kids to call. Like my brother's in fucking jail. If anything, he's calling for us to send him money. Like my little sister's so small, she's not working. Like so it's just like a heavy load sometimes. Um, but I never wanted to tell them that because it's just like I'm like I can handle it. It's fine. I can handle it. Um, but then recently I'm just like, no, I have to like say something. So I was talking to my mom and she's like, "Hey, when are you gonna get your car fixed?" And I'm like, "Ma'am, you got like an extra like $5,000 to $7,000 I don't know about because that's what it takes to get my car fixed tomorrow." um, and she's like, "Well, why don't you get a new car?" And I'm like, because I don't want to add another bill on top of my already bills. Like, I do want to have spare money. I don't want to just be like paycheck to paycheck. I have nothing at the end of every paycheck. I don't want to do that. Can I afford a new car? Yes, I can. Do I want to do that to myself? Fuck no. Um, and so she's like, well, you and just and I kind of was like, no, mom, like right now is just not the best time. Like I just need to, save up to fix it. And right now I have to pay the land and like other things every month. And I just want to focus on that because I just started my job. It was like January. So I still have a lot to learn, which I've learned a lot, but it's a specialty practice to where there's like 6 different doctors and each one's have different fees. So I just have a lot to learn. Like literally today, well, you can't see the names, but this is like one doctor's fees, right? Then this is MD, but then this is another doctor's fees. Okay, and now this is another doctor's fees. And now this is another doctor's fee. And now these are the other doctor's fees. And like this is a hygienist fees. Like they're all same codes, different fees. So I have a lot to learn before I can be like, yeah, give me a raise, which I'm going to eventually. Hopefully they don't see this video, but it's like, I'm not just gonna expect to get something without working for it. And so she was like, well, you guys make a lot of money. Do you know how much it costs to live in San Diego? Like, you guys don't even have rent. And so don't tell me like what to do with my money because I'm already paying for something that I didn't ask to pay. Like it was just mind blowing to me and it fucking pissed me off. And I've been so stressed out lately because I just showed you everything that I have to like learn and it has to be automatic by like at least 6 months. And I'm just like, it just kind of blew my mind and I just had to like lay it out there. And I was like, you know what? And this is the reason why I made this podcast. It took me so much like build up to have the courage to say something like this to my mom because it's my mom. like like I don't care what anyone thinks of me, but like my parents and my husband and like my family, their opinions are like end all be all for me. So you never really want to disappoint them. Um, and so when she said that, I'm just like, do you know like how hard I work mentally? If even if it's not uh like a physically taxing job, like mentally, I had to memorize all those codes and then I had to look at every single person's insurance and then see how much their coverage is and what the deductible is and what percentage it covers at and if they're maxed out or if it's a premier patient or PPO or if it's not in Delta Dental, if it's like another insurance, like they're all different. And that's like, and I had to do that for all the different doctors. So it was like, man, I'm tired. like, um, and so if I want to go and like have brunch with my friend, like I should be able to do that because I worked for my money. um, and so that's kind of what was like, no, like I know I'm your daughter and you should be able to tell me right from wrong, but like right now is not the time because I'm stressed out. And let's be freaking for real. Like, you know? And so I just had to tell her, like, look, these are my bills. These are my responsibilities. These are my things that I have to take care of, and I do take care of. Now, when you are not able to help your own household with my father, I have to pick up that slack, for lack of better words. And I was like, and you know what? And then I just started, I didn't cry all the way. Like, I like my voice started cracking, but I was like, it's not fair. Like, I'm the daughter. And then she just kind of like was silent. And because she said, like, you guys make a lot of money. And I was like, you guys shouldn't be one, checking for how much money I make, and two, accounting my money into your stuff. Like, if you can afford something, go for it. But if you can't, please stop expecting me to pick up where you can't because it's just not fair. And I'm like, I felt good and shitty at the same time. It's such a weird feeling because it was like, fuck, like all my younger life, I was like, I'm gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna make this much money, and I'm gonna buy my parents a house, and I'm gonna have my own house, and like I'm gonna retire them like at a certain age. Like I just had so much more expectations for myself by like age 25. I swear I was gonna have all my life together by 25. I'm like, girl. But it was just like it was just kind of like a fucking tornado of emotions where I was really upset that she just seemed to not even take my feelings into consideration. Like I felt like maybe I was just like a little piggy bank at the moment, the way she was saying it. Um, it was the way she said it, because my mom she does work and she also is like a homemaker and she's very hardworking. But it was just like she just triggered me. Like I've been thinking about it like for a minute and it had to be said. And I'm not saying like I'm not gonna pay for that property anymore because I agreed to it. I'm gonna see it through. We're done paying for it in like 5 years. But it was just like put some respect on my like life. Like let me decide for myself what I'm gonna do with my money financially. Don't just expect for me to like keep giving and giving and giving. And I think we need to, as the children of parents who have such old school values, which are amazing, and like if you can help and do them, fucking go for it. And if like that's what you want to do, and like obviously I'm gonna continue to do certain things and always make sure that they're good. But even like with my sister, I'm the one that's on her ass about her grades. My parents never had to worry about that kind of stuff with me. So it's even that kind of stuff where I'm like, I'm not the parent here, you know? Um, but I am a grateful daughter. And so it's like a give and take, like it's just a weird situation. But I feel so much better that I let her know, like at least how I'm feeling. And hopefully moving forward, they don't make such hasty decisions on my behalf. And I think it was important because at the end of that conversation, she was like, you know what? Like, I'm sorry if you've been stressed out. I can hear it in your voice. You are like struggling a little. I'm gonna talk to your dad and we're gonna see what we can do to maybe like ease your mind a little bit as far as your car. Um, and if you can't afford to pay for the land for a little bit because you want to save to fix your car, like you can do that. And right now I know my mom's not working like a full 40 hours. And I know she's helping with other things at home. So I'm not gonna just drop it, but I am budgeting to the point where I'm like, okay, I had to be fucking strict with myself because in a way she was right. I can't be frivolously spending. But I'm just so proud of myself that I was able to express how I felt. And like even my husband's like been such a fucking rock through these type of things. Like I don't think another man would deal with some of the things that I've had to deal with since we've been together, which with such grace and understanding and like and I just have to count my blessings like every day. And sometimes when I'm super stressed out, I'm a fucking bitch and I don't know how to act, but I do always do my best to like say things so that I can be understood and like please don't take things personal when I'm stressed out and I just like explode and you just get this like little bomb of a human go off. Um, but in a way, I'm glad that I didn't go off on my mom. Like I wasn't cussing. I would never. But it was just like I had to let you know that you're depending on me way more than you should. And that needs to be like taken care of from here on out. After I'm done paying for this land, like you guys need to figure out what you want to do and not keep me tied to your finances because I'm not trying to do that anymore. And I had to set that boundary. And I just hope, like, if anyone has been, if something is like in you and it's like stressing you out and it is putting you in a funky mood, communicate that shit. Let it out. Like, let the person know, not in a fucked up way, but just be like, hey, this is what is happening. This is what you're doing to fuck with me. And it is fucking with me. So I need you to get it together. And not in a mean way, but just in like logically, this and this is causing this, and this cannot happen because of all of that. um, moving forward. So this is just and it's crazy because my mom is so like that. She lets it be known how it is in the moment and she doesn't wait. She does not hold her tongue, not at all. I'm a little bit more like my dad where I'll hold things in because I don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. And then I explode. And then it's like, what the fuck was that? um, but in this one instance, before hanging out, my mom was like, "You got tu madre. Like, you have my attitude." Because the way I said it, she was like, "You weren't mean, but you got your point across." And today they called me, and my dad was like, that car we were lending you, like, if you want, it's already paid off. Just use it until the meantime, put it under your insurance, and it'll give you time to save without being stressed out. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. So it's like I said, my parents are not horrible people. We help each other. It's give and take. But it was like, damn, I really could have had a brand new car had I not had this over my head. But at the end of the day, I am just I woke up today and I was in my car and I was like, thank you God for my job, that I'm even able to freaking go to work. Thank you for this car. Thank you for my parents, that I have my parents, my sister, help her in school, and my husband. I hope he has a great day at work. And like my animals, thank you for keeping them healthy and like if I do need to take them to the vet, it's not an emergency. It's just like something that I noticed. And I'm just like, as much as I have over my head of like stress, I'm just glad to have a fucking roof over my head. Things like that have helped me just like not lose my shit. um, but I'm proud of myself because I needed to be said, I needed to be heard. And, you know, as a firstborn daughter, all of us are literally like hijas de nuestras madre. Like, we just feel this like responsibility. And I know I'm not alone. And I just want to share what I have been going through lately because I'm just like so proud of the way that a lot of us handle these kind of things and stress because some people don't give a fuck and don't help their parents at all. And I mean, that's what you got to do to survive. But I'm just so fucking grateful that, like, whenever my parents have needed help, I've been able to, and vice versa. And so for this episode, I just wanted to share my little moment and just say, like, keep going, keep your head up. Shit is not gonna be easy all the time, but we live and we learn. We're learning to hold ourselves accountable to maybe I shouldn't be so, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll help you. Because someone might think you got it like that. And it's like, even if I do, or if I don't, like, don't count on me for things. Count on yourself. And then if you need me, then you can lean on me, but not like, don't take advantage of it type of thing. So I hope you guys have a great day. You know, set your boundaries. Don't be too nice to where you're putting yourself in a difficult position and, keep it pushing. I still have these goals. I still one day want to buy my parents a house. I still one day want to retire them. Like, I still do want to be that daughter. Right now, I just got to take care of some things for me. But I'm going to get there, and I hope that we all have a great day, a great rest of our week. And I'm just going to keep being as transparent as I can be with you guys on my channel because I know I'm not alone when I speak on these pressures from our community as Hispanic. And it might not just be Hispanic, but I know for me personally, like, this was something that I've always thought I had to do. And now I have to reteach myself and my parents, like, hey, we don't live in the rancho and life here is expensive and you need to take care of your stuff and I'll take care of mine. And if we need each other, yes, we can depend on each other sometimes, but let's not make that the norm. So, peace. Thanks for listening to me talk. And this is incognito mode. And I didn't even cry as much as I thought I was going to, but I just want to thank you guys for watching my podcast. Share your experiences if you want to, and have a great night. I'll see you guys soon.